How long have you been planning that?
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, David.
Welcome to RedveeTV, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2020 lockdown.
The 2020 year, the year 2020, the season, who knows?
It's not for the season's gone, or has it? That is the question.
That is the question.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Is the season coming back? Who knows? Well, that's it. We've seen the lockdown in other parts of the world, like Germany. We started the footy over the weekend in front of absolutely nobody but the cameras. That I'd say that's obviously going to be the future over here, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks so. Obviously, last week the game got the 16 million loan from the government. It's not just a cash injection, it's actually a loan, so it will need to be paid back. What do you think that means for the game?
What, getting the loan? Well, we'll start off with saying I saw some players start talking about that loan going towards wages, and one of the kind of caveats of that loan was it wasn't for wages. I take it's for general running costs. It's for the clubs kind of to keep going, to keep solvent. I think the only worry with the 16 million loan, it's great that we've been able to get it from the government, is we don't know the repayment terms. So while it looks good now, well, yeah. Well, that's it. While it looks a good thing, just saying the sport's got £16 million from the government to help keep it going. Long term, you've got to say, well, what is the repayment kind of terms on it? How much are clubs going to have to pay back? Because it's not just going to get divvied out to everybody. You've got to make applications for the loan. But if they loan money to the likes of and I'm just going to pick clubs out of thin air here, a Dewsbury or a Barrow or a Rochdale, and then they can't afford to pay it back, where does that then leave the game down the line? There's a lot of questions still over it on whether it's going to be the right thing for. Well, short term, it's the right thing for the game. Long term, I'd like to see the kind of the finer details.
I foresee the money basically allowing the clubs to restart the season on the basis that without that money coming in, I don't see how the clubs would have been able to afford to essentially play the rest of the season without fans in the stadium. I think what the loan will do will maybe allow the clubs to apply for certain amounts to cover the loss of attendance revenue. So that is how I would split it. So obviously the likes of Saints, Wigan, Leeds would probably get a bigger share of that money to cover them.
We've still got to apply for that because they might turn around and say, well, we've got an owner who can kind of stand them losses, or we've got benefactors who can stand them losses, and we'll turn around and say, listen, I'll see you through it. There's not a problem. We might not apply for it, but the likes of clubs,
I'm sure our esteemed owners will be applying for some.
Oh, yeah, but there's no saying you're going to get a big enough share of it.
But assuming that 16 million is enough to cover the loss of attendance revenue across Super League and the Championship, then that will allow the clubs to play behind closed doors and therefore fulfil the TV requirements so that they still get the TV money. The question is, when? Because we're middle of May now. There's still nothing set in stone. And it's all right, people saying June the 1st, but the R rate looks to be currently increasing. When we do get some sort of plan, the teams are going to need 3 or 4 weeks pre-season to even be ready to go. So are we going to see any rugby league at all before minimum start of July?
It's $1 million question, isn't it? Or £60 million question. It's I don't know. They might try and rush something through, but I almost think we're hamstrung by not having a TV deal currently set for next year, and the fact that we kind of want to get ahead of any other sport to get us on the box and put us in a position that we can negotiate a decent TV deal. I think nobody wanted this pandemic at any time, but it's come at a very, very bad time for rugby league with the future kind of up in the air of the TV deal. Can I see rugby starting before? I can't see it starting with this 1st of June that we get bandied about. That's, as you say, with the R. Yeah, as you say, with the R rate looking like it's edging back up towards 1 if it's not there already. It's just going to put it back and back and back. I think we previously guessed at late summer. I'd stick to that at the minute.
And in that case, then, what sort of season do we have? Is it just everybody plays each other once, start from scratch? Do you restart the league from where it started off? It's going to be a strange one.
It is. A little bit of me thinks it's almost like the football one. We've started this one, so we should play this one to a finish. And almost we had a swing season in 1995, didn't we? Where it was a truncated one. That could be the idea for next year. We've already started under one set of rules. I think to turn around and say we're going to play each other once now, when you've already started, I don't think that makes much sense.
I know from watching, I've watched some of the Bundesliga games this weekend. Some people will know we're quite a fan of German football. We've been over a few times. The fans over there are a massive part of the game, and I think the term is football without fans is nothing. Watching those games yesterday with not a soul in the ground, you may as well have been watching blokes on a park who you don't know.
Yes.
I don't think people realise just how much you need the fans in a stadium, whether that's football or rugby. Otherwise, it's going to be like every game's being played at Salford.
It's a burn for Salford there, isn't it? It takes away. It's almost like again Premier League talk about football, and they were mooting playing in neutral grounds. It almost takes that little bit of edge that a home team should get away, because if you've got a say Saints Wigan game at the Totally Wicked, and you've got 3/4 of the ground absolutely bouncing for Saints, surely that gives the lads a bit more of an edge than if there's one man and his dog operating a camera and making sure all the big screen and the sound is working. It's a completely different atmosphere, isn't it? And that's it. The sooner we can safely get back into the stadiums, the better, but let's not rush it.
Who's operating the camera? The man or the dog?
It'll be our mate Carl, won't it? The Saints fan who used.
If it was a dog operating the camera, it'd make a really good TikTok video.
Well, yeah, you're obsessed with TikTok, aren't you? Surprised I've not seen any dancing off you yet.
Will we be making our own lockdown video soon?
Will you?
We will. What's next? James Graham?
Yeah, James Graham. He's not started contract negotiations with St George. It's put Super League clubs on kind of alert that he could come back while he's entering the last stage of his career. Would you take him back?
I wouldn't take him back for sentimental reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I would take him back if the club feel he will add to what we've got and he'll be a positive influence, and equally on what terms as well, on how much of salary cap it's going to take. And I think that I don't want us just to sign him because it's James Graham who used to play for Saints. You have to look at it. If it was James Graham who'd played for Leeds for 8 years, 9 years before he went to the NRL, would we still be in the market for him? And if so, that's fine. But don't be signing him just because he used to play for the club.
That's a good point. I think monetary, that's the first thing I'd look at. We've got quite a few off contracts in the pack, so I think we're going to have a little bit of a rebuild as and when seasons get sorted out. That's it. You don't want him coming over marquee, which he potentially could.
He's not marquee anymore. I'm sorry, but
well, that's it. You wouldn't sign him as a marquee player. Is he someone who is a good leader on the park? Yes. Is he somebody who can do it in Super League? Well, he's still doing it in the NRL. Super League is, unfortunately, a step down. So
that being said, then, Kev, do you think James Graham is the sort of player who would return and would want to play for the likes of Huddersfield, Wakefield, etc., even if it was just as a marquee signing? I don't think he would be that motivated by the financial aspect and the difference in the money to play for that sort of club.
I think you'll be looking to add to his to the medals he's won. That's what he'll be doing. I don't think he'd be going anywhere for a payday. So even if he is where he signs for Toronto, but I was going to say, even if it's for a Toronto, we were getting, before it all stopped, we're getting banjoed every week. Would he want to go and put himself through that, or would he want to be higher up in the league for a club who's battling for honours, getting to cup finals, finishing top 2 or 3? Yeah, I would take him back, but as you say, it's got to be right for the club. It's got to be right money-wise. He's got to be the right type of signing. Yeah, he's a leader, which is a good sign. Yes, he'd be able to bring your young lads through as well. Just think of everything the likes of Matty Lees could learn off him as he comes through, the likes of Callum Hazard, who are like the reserve players who would just kind of look at his professionalism and take so much in. I think we all look for signings that are still going to be here in 3, 4, 5 years' time, and he's not going to be that. But every so often, you just need that experience in your team to kind of fit in well with your young lads that you're bringing through.
I think in the past, I think the club used to say, like, the likes of 2005, 2006, that era, we had
2,000 plus 52,006 equals 54,006. By the way, I can learn your voice to improve your Alexa experience.
God, I hope
not now, Alexa, thank you.
I hope it doesn't learn your voice.
Bizarre. The teams of that era,
yeah.
I think it was said at that time, some of our players could have gone elsewhere and earned bigger money, but they stayed at the club because we persuaded them that you want to win trophies. And I think that's what it is. If it does help swing the deal, I'm quite happy to take James to Everton every week. You can have my spare ticket that comes with me.
That sounds like a threat rather than a promise.
Right. What next?
We'll go back to one that's monetary wise. There's been a rule change for this season only on the salary cap, and that's that your young players coming through. There was a £15,000 limit on the bottom end of the salary cap for players. People will correct me in the comments here. I'm reading it literally off a note that says salary cap 15k. And they've taken that out. So when the season does kind of restart, if we're going to start putting 2 games a week at some points, clubs can kind of dip into the reserves, into their academy teams, play lads, and then not get stung by penalties under the salary cap. I suppose the question is, do you think it's right that these young players could, instead of being paid 15k, might get half of that and still have to go out playing against and with players who are on a lot more money? Is that right? And secondly, if it's not right, what would you do?
Listen, I think in an ideal world that we wouldn't be having players playing for 15k a year. And no, it's not right, essentially. But if you say, right, well, you can't do that, well, the players won't get a game at all. And I think some of them young lads would rather showcase their talents, show what they can do, and try and earn a proper Super League contract in future years. So I think the players themselves will probably say, yeah, listen, if it means to get 1 or 2 games in the first team and get that experience on probably what may be a televised showcase, I think they'll go for it. In an ideal world, they'd all be on minimum 50k a year, but that's fantasy land, isn't it, when we're taking bailouts from the government?
Yeah, I think first of all, like there were some players moaning about it. One player, I can't remember if it was Liam Watts, who said he started out on £8,000 and then it slowly built up when he got his better deals and kind of progressed through the ranks. The money isn't right, but a bit of me wants to ask players, where did you think the money's going to come from? You can't just start putting players on 25, 30 grand a year if they haven't yet earned it. There's no money to do that. If there was money to do that, fine. Like in football.
And listen, if there was no salary cap rule at all, the players would be playing on buttons.
But the way, exactly. But the way that kind of the way that it's working at the minute, if we're playing 2-3 games in a week at some points, if we don't scrap the Challenge Cup and loot fixtures, or they want it all done by the end of November, and you're not allowing these young kids to play 2-3 games first team, are those same players going to start whinging? Whinging's the wrong word. Are the same players going to start having concerns about the physical aspect, the mental aspect of having to get yourself ready, and then not only for now but in the future? We always hear about players who are absolutely, the bodies are ruined after playing Super League for 10, 12 years. So if they play 2 or 3 games and kind of are in what, I don't know, they call the red zone, where they're high prone to injury, being able to bring a young kid in and play 20, 30 minutes second row and give them a rest because they can kind of switch the team round. In fact, I'm going to point to, was it last year or the year before, when we played over Easter, Good Friday, Easter Monday, and then we played the following weekend, and we completely rotated the team. I think there was like a couple of players who played all
and the game was dire.
Yeah, but we were able to. I think it was Aaron Smith had an absolute brilliant game, and Jack Wellsby had a brilliant game against Catalan. And Catalan, Bernard Gauche, whatever his name is, he kind of turned around and said, I want a video of what they've done because I want to give it to my coaching team and say, that's what I want you to produce. By giving these lads the chance, it'll make clubs kind of have to make a decision on them and say, you know what, we are going to keep hold of him. It'll give them the chance to see how they thrive.
That game
against a 10-game year.
The game you're on about was the Catalan game on the Sunday, wasn't it? Where we had that unbelievable pass from him.
Dead air there.
Oh my God, my mind's gone blank. Oh well. Who's the pass from, Kevin? Just Cass.
Richardson.
Danny Richardson. Why has my mind gone blank?
This lockdown talk. So
it's like I cannot live in a world without sport. I've discovered I've got a garden. There's flowers out there and there's painting being done.
Did somebody put the numbers on the fence? Because I believe that's the only way you can paint.
Yeah, they all had number 1 on.
So
I tried weighing on it first of all and it didn't.
Oh dear. Like as you say, no, with that Catalan game, that's we put young lads in. They've taken the chance, and then been in and around the first team. Yeah, they're both bright stars. Yeah, we've got, no offence to James Roby, but we've got an aging hooker now, so we need the young blood to come through and see what's up here.
An aging hooker.
He's younger than me.
It's been made up. You've aged 10 years since our last video.
That's because of this beard, I think.
Needs to go, Kev. Needs to be like Benjamin Button again.
It'll go soon enough, don't worry. But yeah, it's the chance for these lads to kind of get a chance in the first team and give play. What the hell are you doing?
You're upside down, it.
Fair enough. And give players, like established players, the rest they need, so the quality of Super League doesn't drop, because all we're doing is playing a game similar to the weekend after Easter. when there's no skill involved in the game. It's one of them that you turn up because you're contractually obliged to with your season ticket, or you go because you're following your team, but you know full well it's not going to be the highlight of the season. So if it's just for 1 year, I think it's fine. If it starts creeping in 2, 3, 4 years, then the players need a good union, a strong union that they can turn around and say, no, we want that changing back.
Okay, 20 minutes done. I think that probably covers the last week or two, doesn't it? If it will try and do another quick Q&A session during the week. I know we've got a couple of questions left over from a few weeks back. Anybody wants to give us any more? The World Cup of kits is going on Twitter. The Spider-Man kit's gone well, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And you know what the great thing about the World Cup of kits is? We're getting loads of people like kind of just getting in touch and saying which one their favourite is, and also querying Saints fans saying, who's voting for like the 97 kits? Who's voting for this kit? Red shorts make a kit look bad. We should be in white shorts. And you know, it's great just seeing people interacting and kind of giving their opinion.
I hope our marketing team at the club are monitoring these comments.
Well, they should be.
Do you know one thing that always disappoints me with our kits? We very, very rarely go into classic.
Yeah.
Like you see football teams doing it. They'll bring a kit out and it'll be for the anniversary of the 25th anniversary of having that kit. We never seem to do that, and I'd really like people saying the 87. If it was the 87 kit, the best one we ever had. Why not?
89, according to our Twitter followers.
Why not just reproduce that kit 1 year? A complete redo of that kit with obviously the modern up-to-date sponsors on it. It'd sell like hotcakes. And then the next year go for something like brand new that no one's seen before.
Well, I think there's a club very close to us who used to do that on a 3-year cycle. That they used to do kind of heritage, then a modern take on the colours, and then a mad kit. I think you know which club it is. It's the one from over the lump. They had that pink kit, didn't they? And that was one of their best-selling kits. Like that was not a Wigan kit at all, but it was one of their best-selling kits. Then all of a sudden, bang, they go back to cherry and white hoops, and it looks completely different to last time.
Yeah.
And as you say with the Spider-Man kit, the 97 one, you don't have to bring out a white and black kit. I think Rugby Designs on Twitter actually did one for us, which was kind of an up-to-date version. It was a little bit 2020, but with a little bit of black on there. It still had a little bit of checkerboard at the bottom, but it was more of a Saint shirt. And that's it. Just kind of lean on old ones. And I know they have done it with a couple, like the 2009 Pilks Active one. I've seen that one before. It's like a 1980, around 85, 86 version. You're playing your music again. But yeah, that's it. As I say, just keep getting involved in the voting for the kits and keep giving us your opinion, because there's actually some very militant ones, especially about the 97 kit.
Yeah. I was going to try and play us out with Don't You Forget About Me again, but Simple Minds have moved on to the street fighting years, so I don't even know what that is, so forget that one then. Right, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Kev, it's great to see you. I forgot what you look like and didn't realise you look like that. Come on, completely different during the week and surprise us. Dye the beard pink before you get rid of it.
Dye the beard pink before I get rid of it. Okay. There's only that little grey bit that'll probably go pink though.
Okay, right. Cheers for joining us. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Keep an eye on the RedV website during the week for the A-Star recruitment job of the week. They are still recruiting during this period. If you need to get out there, get some work, they are the people to talk to, and we thank them for supporting us. Catch you soon.